Missouri legislator has changed his mind about a prescription drug tracking program.
Plus, a shortage of paramedics is drawing concern in Cole County.
And Columbia City Parks received a hefty donation. KMU 8 News at 6 starts now.
Jefferson City residents voted to build a second public high school yesterday, and the timeline for opening the doors is already in motion. Good evening, I'm Brittany Pieper.
And I'm Jordan Berger. Thank you so much for joining us. Superintendent Larry Lithicum said the plan is to now officially open the new school's doors in the fall of 2019. KMU 8's Jared Kohler joins us now in the studio for more on what's next.
After years of work, Proposition J and C both passed to push school expansion into full swing. For new school boundaries, Lithicum says it's safe to say Lewis and Clark Middle School students will attend the current high school, while Thomas Jefferson Middle School students will attend the new high school. He also added that the final boundary lines are close to set, but still subject to change. The tax rate is also close to final, with 65 cents for building and 45 cents for operating the schools, and those funds will be split among the schools respectively, with a gradual tax implementation leading up to 2019's opening. Linthicum says adding a new school pushes the district to new heights.
We want our schools to be an asset for our community, and as we're trying to raise the bar in everything we do, we want to be the premier school district in the state of Missouri.
Linthicum did not comment on when boundary lines would be officially final. In the studio, Jared Kohler, KMU 8 News.
It's been a hotly debated issue and consistently opposed by Senator Rob Schaaf. For years, last night, Schaaf announced the end of his fight, though, against a statewide prescription drug monitoring program. KOMU 8's Emma Reckenberg joins us to tell us why.
5 years ago, Senator Schaaf made headlines for the 8-hour filibuster he led against prescription drug monitoring legislation. He's been fighting similar drug tracking proposals ever since, until this week when he accepted defeat.
If we're going to have it, demand that it be effective. And the only way a program like this can be effective is if doctors actually use it.
If implemented, Schaaf, who is a physician, says he would adhere to the prescription drug monitoring program requirements.
Anybody who wants us to give up our liberty with the intent of saving lives ought to at least be willing to use the program. I mean, I think it would be outrageous not to require that.
In the past, Schaaf argued a PDMP would be a violation of patients' privacy, but Kilgore's pharmacist Bill Morrissey says a statewide drug database could reduce prescription drug abuse.
If an individual goes into a pharmacy to fill a prescription for a controlled substance that is something that's known, certain drugs that we're going to monitor that have a street value, that have an abuse potential, that are concerns. And basically, when they go to fill that prescription, it will screen that particular person and that particular drug and related drugs and make sure that they aren't filling it in multiple places.
Missouri is the only state without a prescription drug monitoring program, which keeps track of specific over-the-counter medications. Under the proposed state law, prescriptions such as OxyContin would be flagged for pharmacists. Additionally, stimulants such as Adderall and Ritalin and opioid pain medications, including oxycodone and Percocet, would be monitored. Morrissey says prescription drug abuse is a major issue.
It's everywhere. So yes, we do see that in Columbia, Missouri on a daily basis.
With a PDMP in place, he says people's personal medication records would be kept private.
It's not public information. It's just for healthcare professionals who either can fill these prescriptions, write these prescriptions, that sort of thing.
Columbia recently passed a county-wide drug monitoring program, which will go into effect April 25th.
If we're going to be having PDMPs all around the state, it's better to have a statewide one that the doctors actually use.
Schaaf says the State Medical Association, U.S. Senators McCaskill and Blunt, and Governor Greitens are in support of the drug monitoring program. He says he thinks a Missouri PDMP will pass this session. In the studio, Emma Reckenberg, KOMU 8 News.
All right, thank you, Emma. Springfield Police says there was a 900% increase in heroin seizures last year. According to their annual report, the Special Investigations Unit collected more than 4,000 grams last year, leading to at least 20 deaths. That's compared to almost 400 grams in 2015. The report also says the department is trying strategies to combat heroin use. Kansas City is lowering the penalty for the possession of small amounts of marijuana. Yesterday, voters approved a proposal that lowers the maximum fine from $500 to $25 and removes the possibility of jail time. The measure also eliminated city charges for possession of marijuana-related paraphernalia. This comes after Missouri eliminated jail time for first-time offenders convicted of possessing less than 10 grams of marijuana.
A federal judge says he'll issue a preliminary injunction to block Missouri's abortion restrictions. The judge said in a memo yesterday his ruling will take away the requirement that doctors who perform abortions must have admitting privileges at nearby hospitals and that clinics meet hospital-like standards for outpatient surgery. The U.S. Supreme Court struck down similar rules in Texas earlier last year. A man is now under arrest after leading authorities on a chase in a stolen car yesterday. The driver, David Singleton, led deputies on a car chase that started in Montauk County. He got out of his car and tried to run away, according to authorities, but they say they caught up with him. The car was reported stolen from Columbia, and deputies say they found meth in the car. Singleton has multiple felony warrants out of Boone County, including child neglect and a probation violation.
Missouri's Attorney General's officer has filed 2 sets of charges against the Mississippi County Sheriff. The first complaint accuses the sheriff of 7 counts of forgery and tampering with computer data and 1 count of notary misconduct. The second complaint accuses him of assault and robbery in the case of an arrest of a 77-year-old woman. The complaint alleges he handcuffed the woman with enough force that she suffered a heart attack.
Here's what's happening right now. Columbia's SWAT team and crisis negotiation team are doing training exercises in 4 locations around Boone County. The Columbia Police Department says there will be a heavy police presence, but don't be alarmed, it is just training. You can visit KOMU.com for the exact locations of that training.
Cole County Emergency Medical Services is seeking more crews and ambulances. KMU8's Aaron Reynolds is live at one of the EMS sites to tell us why the service needs extra crews. Aaron?
Cole County EMS Chief Jerry Johnston proposed the idea of extra crews at a county commission meeting this week. The extra crews would primarily cover transfer calls, many of which are currently covered by paramedics. Additional crews would allow paramedics to cover more 911 calls. Cole County Commissioner Sam Bushman says he thinks the proposal will pay for itself.
You know, some of this you say, well, we almost need to wait and put it on 2018 budget. But right now there's times we are shorthanded. And what Jerry's showing us, it can almost be a break-even proposition.
The proposal also involves ambulance and equipment purchases. The Cole County Commission will meet in 2 weeks to discuss the purchase of those new vehicles. Reporting live in Jefferson City, Aaron Reynolds, KOMU8 News.
All right, thank you, Aaron. The City Council approved a fund that will benefit the Parks and Recreation Department. A decline in sales tax revenue has the department with less money than previous years. To jumpstart the fund, an anonymous Columbia business owner donated $25,000. Parks and Recreation Director Mike Griggs says the additional funding will be a big help.
For the last 10 years, we've been operating less and less every year. We've been with the park sales tax has been completely absorbed in our operating budget, and so there's really nowhere else for us to go. So we really need this alternate source so that we can continue with some of these things that citizens expect.
The funding will be used for parks and recreation programs and park upkeep.
Clean Up Columbia planners are getting ready for a large turnout on Saturday. The Columbia Volunteer Program's annual event is set to be the largest in at least 5 years. With more than 1,800 volunteers, organizers say they hope to clear up most of the high-priority areas like Conley and Broadway. Neighborhood Services Manager Lee Kotwitz hopes this event will bring more awareness to volunteers and residents.
Because we have a lot of families and kids of all ages that participate, that just the experience of being in the cleanup is a lesson to them. So that raises their awareness and makes them much more conscientious about their trash and making sure that they don't litter.
The cleanup will be held throughout the day Saturday. Find out how you can help on our website, KOMU.com. We had a lot of rain today, so let's send it over to Kenton to see when we'll finally dry out.
Brittany, thank you very much, and good evening, everyone. Yeah, we did have quite a bit of rain throughout our day today, and last night, of course, as well. Most areas seeing about an inch of total rainfall accumulation. And looking at Live.3 First Alert Radar, we're still seeing that rain out there as well. It's just slowly pushing off towards the east, and it will continue to do so through much of our evening hours. Eventually, though, by our day tomorrow, we will be drying out, and we'll see more sunshine here as well. But some of the winds will be sticking around. Right now, temperatures cooling down. We reached our high temperatures earlier on this morning. Now we're at 42 in Columbia, 45 in Jefferson City, 43 in Mexico. And these winds are still blowing fairly strongly at this point. They're from the north, right around 20 to 25 miles an hour. And we do have those gusts, as was expected, still around 40 miles an hour. So definitely a windy day. And again, as I mentioned, in the coming days, we'll start to see more sunshine. We'll dry out a bit more, and we're going to start a warming trend. We're at 56 for the high temperature tomorrow afternoon. Eventually, we're at 60 here on Friday, and we're going to be even warmer into the weekend. I'll take a look at that weekend forecast, and we could see more rainfall coming up after the break.
It's tax season, and we have tips that may help you get more deductions and refunds.